Hi, I'm Don Stewart. Today we're looking at a sentence from William Golding's The Lord of the Flies, which came out in 1954. He wrote quite a few books after that, and in fact in 1983 received the Nobel Prize for Literature, and in 1988 was knighted by the Queen. Let's get going.
Ralph stood now, one hand against an enormous red block, a block as large as a mill wheel that had been split off and hung, tottering.
First, it's easy to spot the main clause, the level one. Ralph stood now. And of course, we have just three words. We have subject, a verb, and an adverb. And in order to make it more specific, he drops into the level two. He goes from Ralph to his hand. And then he introduces that enormous adjective, red block. And he wants to focus on that block. So he repeats it. And he adds a comparison as large as a mill wheel. And then very strong vocabulary, split, off, hung, and finishing with tottering. That word kind of is out there by itself, almost as though it's going to totter off the cliff. I was intrigued by that word. I really was. I looked up in WikiDiff, D-I-F-F, the difference between teetering and tottering. You can look it over if you want, but I think by itself, and plus how close it is to the word toppling, and boy, you are hooked. Is it gonna totter, teeter, or topple? But let's take one step back and take a look at the construction of the entire sentence. A 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 modifies something in the 3. The 3 modifies something in the 2, the block. And the 2 modifies something in the 1. So what happens is when you get to the end of the 1, you ask yourself, should I put a period or should I put a comma and drop into a 2? So you have two choices, a period or a comma. When you get to the end of the 2, you could put a period, or you could drop to a 3, or possibly even another 2. So you really have 3 choices, the period, another 2, or a 3. When you get to the 3, you have 4 choices. When you get to the 4, you actually have 5 choices of what to do. Now there's a term for all of these 2, 3s, 4s. They are called free modifiers. That leads me to talk about a fellow named John Erskine. He was an English professor at Columbia University, and he wrote, "When you write, you make a point, not by subtracting as though you sharpened a pencil, but by adding. The noun, the verb, and the main clause serve merely as a base on which the meaning will rise. The modifier is the essential part of any sentence." And it's that passage that one day Francis Christensen came upon, and it has formed the foundation of this entire writing program.